Good morning. This video is an explanation video for how to engage in the revision station slide deck for this week. As of now, you should have already submitted your capstone rough draft. Unfortunately, the outline is no longer being accepted. The last day for credit was on the 14th. And the last day for credit for your rough draft is this Sunday, the 21st. However, this week is devoted to revising the rough draft. If you are not ready for this stage, then you need to finish your rough draft and then watch this video. Next week, you will have another revision slide deck that you will need to go through as well. So this video is just to clarify and explain how to go through that process. At this point, I'm going to assume if you are watching this video, you either just want to know what the next step is or you're ready for the next step. Either way, please remember that when you turn in your rough draft, you needed to follow these steps. You needed to, after you've made the copy of the outline. So when you were ready to turn it in, before you turned in your rough draft, you needed to make a copy of your capstone rough draft. You needed to title the copy Capstone Rough Draft Revisions, and then save that in your ELA folder. Then you would attach your rough draft here to this assignment and submit it. So if you have, make sure you've got an extra copy of your rough draft titled Capstone Rough Draft Revisions. You're going to use that to complete the revisions for this week. When you go to the capstone, when you go to the classwork section, you're going to open you're gonna see these two things right here. Capstone, the revisions in total, it's gonna take us 2 weeks, this week and next week. This week, you will have a revision stations number 1, and then next week, you will have another revision stations, which will be called revision stations number 2. Both of these items are not due until February 28th. You do not want to wait till the last minute on this. But I wanna go ahead and make sure we understand what we're doing. So you're going to need these 2 files. The revision stations are going to look like this. You're going to open it up. You're going to see a bell work. And if you're in class, you probably did the bell work. If you didn't come to class, then you won't obviously do the bell work. So you'll ignore that slide. But this is what the directions are. You're going to work through these stations to revise the rough draft of your paper for this week. You can either choose to complete these stations independently, receive feedback from a peer or mentor, which I highly suggest. The more eyes on your paper, the better your paper will be when you turn it in to get graded, or a combination of both, okay? If you choose to have a peer provide feedback, you will need to share your document with them. Remember, that document is the rough draft revisions draft, right? So you turn in your rough draft, but you made a copy and you have that, and you titled it Capstone Rough Draft Revisions. So if you are going to have a peer provide feedback, you will need to share your document with them and have them leave feedback on the side. Do not delete their comments. If you make comments on the side, do not delete them. When you turn in your revisions, it will look messy. That's what I want. I want to see all of the feedback that you're getting, and you will eventually use that feedback during the week of the March 1st. You will use that feedback to revise, okay? You can also do this with a mentor as well, especially if a mentor is a Trotwood teacher. It's going to be really easy, or a counselor, to just share that with them. If you are going to have a mentor on the outside do it, hopefully you can meet up with that mentor. You can give them your computer and say, like, can you type feedback for me using the comment tool. Engaging, but here's the thing, you can do this independently, you'll get your 100 points, etc. But I want you to notice in blue, engaging in peer or mentor feedback will earn you the chance to recover 1 to 2 grades from quarter 3. There will also be a teacher conference station. So as you are working through this, I will be conferencing with each of you that come to my Zoom class, on your regularly scheduled Zoom class. You can also come during flex period or in the after school tutoring session on Thursday. You will have time during a Zoom session, but you need to work on this outside of your Zoom session. When you turn in your rough draft revisions, I should see a document full of feedback on the side. So comments on the side, marks on it, you'll be, there might be different colors and highlights, etc. In other words, do not delete anything, do not change anything. You're just seeking feedback. Then you will use that feedback to revise, to make your final draft. Have your peer, so make notes to yourself of what you want to fix using the comment tool. If you're doing it independently, have your peer or mentor do the same. Later, you will use this document to type your final draft. So on the remaining slides is a step-by-step directions for what to do in order to revise. You're going to be looking at your introduction paragraph, your body paragraphs, your evidence, your analysis. You're going to have someone check all of those things, or you're independently doing that. The thing before I kind of show you a few more things is you need to understand that hopefully you've been referring to your rubric that you've had since the beginning of the year. It was also in your Capstone notebooks. It's also on my website. It is also on Google Classroom. That is something I would have open in another tab, and I would constantly be looking at the rubric so that you can be like, okay, yes, I have a really good thesis. Yes, I'm going to get a 5 in support and analysis or evidence. So this is there. If you click on this link, if you click on the picture, it'll link you to it. There's another link here. I would share the rubric with your parents, guardians, mentor, whomever, but you should be looking at that. I have developed the way that you are writing your essay based on the rubric. So if you've been following along with that, you're probably meeting some of it, but we're trying to get you into the 4 to 5 category. So the next slide before you begin is what you independently need to do. Before you ever share it with a mentor or a peer, you need to mark up your paper and color code it so that just as a step to determine if you have all parts, and it will also help guide your peer or your mentor in giving feedback, okay? So there are gonna be 5 things that you're gonna do. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're going to highlight your thesis statement in yellow. You are then gonna highlight all topic sentences for every single body paragraph in yellow. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the evidence of every body paragraph, and you're going to highlight the lead in or the quote, paraphrase, introduction, like where you introduce the ideas that are not your own. You're going to highlight that introduction in green. Then you're going to leave the quote alone or the paraphrase, but you're going to highlight the parenthetical in-text citations in blue. This is where I should see that MLA format, right? And it's going to let you know if you don't have those, then that's where what we're going to have to fix, right? The third thing you're going to look at is you're going to look at your analysis section in all body paragraphs, which should be far larger than your evidence and your topic sentence. You're going to highlight any analysis in pink. Doing that will show you whether or not you have enough analysis or you need more, okay? Then the last thing you're going to do as far as highlighting or bolding, you're going to look at all your transitions or your transitional phrases. You're going to look at all of them, bold them wherever you see them. And if you don't see them, that's just an indicator that you'll need to add that later. The final thing you are going to do before you start actually engaging in revision or getting feedback is you're going to do what's here on the side. Beneath the title of your essay in red font coloring, I need you to tell me the top 3 concerns you have and would like to discuss in a conference. So for example, maybe you want feedback specifically on your analysis, your topic sentences, and whether or not you have successfully cited things correctly, okay? Whatever your issues are, maybe you are like, ooh, I don't know if my analysis is logical. I don't know if it makes sense. Can you check that for me? Maybe there's a specific paragraph that you need me to check. You need to add that. That's going to guide our teacher conference, and that's also going to guide how I'm going to give you feedback. I do not read the entire rough draft when that's part of, I might read a paragraph, I might read a couple paragraphs, and I'll give you feedback on those and you apply it to the rest. So you have to be very specific in what kind of feedback you want. So that you need to set that up, and then you're going to go through each of these slides and it's going to give you a task. The introduction paragraph, you've got task 1, it'll tell you what to do. At the bottom, it'll tell you or your peer or your mentor to make notes on things. So if you are a peer mentor, use the comment tool, etc. All you need to do is follow the directions on each slide, okay? Again, I'm gonna suggest that you most definitely share it with a trusted peer to get feedback. The more eyes on your paper, the better your paper will be. We have 2 weeks of revision. Reminder, you do not have to turn this in at the end of this week. You are turning this in by the 28th. Keep in mind, if you're looking at time management, I would make sure that you at least get some of the revisions done this week, because you'll have another revision slide deck next week. All revisions, once you turn that in, will be worth another 100 points. And this will be an evidence of learning. So it's going to be more, impactful on your grade. Once you are done with all these going through, again, this is like step by step, do this thing, check this thing, write this thing, leave a comment on the side, right? You're gonna look at your works cited page, you're looking at all of those things, okay? And then you're gonna come back over here and remember, you're not gonna turn anything in this week, but I would get it done by the 21st. I say do by the 21st. That way next week, the next set of revisions, you're not so overwhelmed. And so you'll just hang on to that. And next week we'll come in and we'll have another slide deck and we'll go through revisions again for something else. And then you'll have a week to write, type up and make all your corrections for your final draft. And then you'll turn your final draft in. You'll finalize your website, and then we are done with quarter 3. If you have any questions, please make sure you're emailing me, coming to my flex sessions, coming to your actual Zoom sessions. There are still quite a bit of seniors that are not doing that. But that is it.